Welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, where we bring you conversations with the top business minds on Long Island and around the nation every week. Featuring expert consultants and small business owners who have found success but are also willing to share their top tips, failures, and give gritty, matter-of-fact advice based on their firsthand experience. Now, let's get down to business on Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hello and welcome to Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation. My name is Ray Schwetz, AVP of Community Relations at Jovia Financial Credit Union, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, CEO, keeper of the brand marketing and digital agency, and we're focused on being the premier resource for business and entrepreneurship.
We bring you business advice, tips, tools, and services that help you grow your business. Plus, we interview the top business minds in the community.
Yes. Now, today is... I always like saying it's that very special episode, and it is. It's for a cause that's very close to my heart, and a lot of Long Islanders. Helping provide us with business empowerment today is our guests, Greta Guarton and Yvonne Mann of the Long Island Coalition for the Homeless. Now, Greta is the executive director of the Long Island Coalition for the Homeless, and Yvonne Mann is the community engagement specialist. And the mission of the coalition is to end homelessness on Long Island, and I can't think of a more noble mission. So welcome to the show. Thank you very much for being here today, Greta and Yvonne.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you.
We're so excited to just hear about the programs and services that you provide. And, you know, it's so funny that because growing up, my mother said, you should always be nice to any and everyone, not for their time that they're here, not for a season, because you never know what happens to people mentally, physically. So whether it's the person living in a box in front of a business, an office business, or the executive, you should always treat everyone the same. Oh yeah, well, because anybody, it's unfortunate, but anyone could be a homeless person. It's not what you think as far as the stereotypical, it's the person on the street who's a drug addict. Could be anyone. And it could happen to anyone. And so it's important that an organization like the Coalition exists. So I guess, Greta, tell us a little bit about your background and your experience and how you became involved in the Coalition.
So I've actually been involved with the Coalition since 1996. I was a year and a half old at the time.
Yes, of course.
And originally I started in mental health housing while I was in college. And then over time, started working with other disenfranchised populations, started working with the Coalition again in 1996. I'm a social worker by education, which is very aligned with what turned out to be my passion. And I'm just really happy to be doing this kind of work. The Coalition itself has been around since 1985, but we've gone through a number of iterations in terms of what we prioritize in the services that we provide. We've always had the mission of ending homelessness in Nassau and Suffolk counties, but how we've gone about doing that has changed over the years.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Some people are just really, one paycheck away from being homeless.
So many. We have... and on Long Island, I think, we have this reputation on Long Island of just being this extremely wealthy area that everybody's driving, Ducatis.
Right.
And that's just not the fact. It is one of the most expensive areas in the country. That part is true, but that's because of the average. In fact, we have... pockets of, and they're not even pockets of poverty anymore. We have pockets of wealth. We have many more areas with many poor and many working poor. There's this conception that people are homeless because they're not working, or they don't want to work, or they don't feel like doing different things, or people are all mentally ill or have drug use issues, and really none of that's true. The reason that people are homeless on Long Island is the lack of affordable housing. The reason that people are one paycheck away is the lack of affordable housing, and the failure of our systems to really keep up with those housing costs and life costs.
Now, I was lucky enough to take a tour when I first got involved with the Long Island Coalition for the Homeless, and it was truly eye-opening to me, not only, what people face, but also what types of programs you have at the Coalition. I mean, it's truly amazing. It's truly inspiring. Can you give us a sense of what a day in the life is like at the coalition?
Sure. We have a number of different programs. We have case managers and outreach staff that work directly with people in shelters and folks that are living on the street. Our outreach staff work with folks that have been identified as being homeless for long periods of time. Our case managers and outreach staff are tasked with working with those folks to get them into permanent housing. The most vulnerable folks in our region have not been able to access permanent housing because there haven't been those supports before. And now we're targeting them because we know if you've been homeless for 5 years, you're unlikely to get out of it by yourself. Right. So our staff are working with them to get them into permanent housing and have been very successful. We also have programs that are for people who are not homeless but are on the on the verge of homelessness, and they can be homeless as well, but they don't have to be homeless to access those services. We have a program called the Boutique.
And I love
everybody loves the Boutique.
Share, please do share.
It is a very, very fancy name for a wonderful program that we have. It is a free essential items program. It is completely volunteer run. It's open. The boutique is open 2 days a week, and we give our quote customers, although everything's free, whatever they need in terms of clothing, small amounts of food, toiletries, house care, toiletries, housewares, baby items, toys, books. No furniture. We don't take furniture. We don't give out furniture. We don't have the space, and essentially. Anything that people need, either whether they're in shelters or moving into a place for the first time. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people become homeless. They do get a storage space, but storage is expensive, and often they lose everything that they had. So when they're ready to move into a new place, they don't even have things like towels and dishes and pots and pans. And because of the generosity of our communities, and that's folks in the community that donate to us, we're able to give those things out to the folks who need them. We do a program over the summer with backpacks and school supplies.
That's another amazing one.
That's another wonderful program. The looks on those kids' faces is just fantastic. Yes. And again, it is all community driven, that program. We collect up to 5,000 backpacks. Well, that was our peak. That's our goal every year. And we give out whatever we get in. And, it's those kinds of things. When you think about the cost to a household that is on a fixed income or is low income and is really struggling, it might be the difference between buying school supplies and new clothes for your kids going back to school, or having to pay your rent, or paying insurance, or putting gas in the car. It could be the same thing when it comes to, like I said, bedding or housewares. These are things that they can be expensive and they can add up. We don't do a lot of food because we're very fortunate. There are a number of food pantries, and there are others that do that really well. So we don't impinge on that or infringe on that. But we take care of a lot of the other essentials for folks.
So, what are some of your challenges you face working with the population and just changing the mindset of people?
Well, Donyshia, you just hit it. It's the stigma. So many times people think that, again, they have this idea in their mind of who's homeless and why people become homeless. And it always, in their minds, it often points to some flaw or some fault of the folks who hit on hard times. And really trying to get awareness out about what homelessness really is all about, the causes of homelessness, and the fact that, like Ray said, it really can happen to just about anybody. Yep. A crisis can strike, and it turns people's lives around. Sandy, look at what happened, in our own communities all across downstate New York. So many people lost their homes, and these are homeowners that, they had enough to be able to own a home at a point. Right. Even they lost their homes, and many of them have still not been able to rebuild. So imagine someone who is low income, that hasn't had those opportunities, hasn't had a chance to build equity, when they're one paycheck away, it's literally one paycheck away.
Yep. You are listening to Tower Talk Business Radio on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, and our guests today are Greta Guarton and Yvonne Mann of the Long Island Coalition for the Homeless. Now, I wanted to ask you a little bit about an event that is also a very special event, and that is the Candlelight Vigil for the Homeless. This is something that I was lucky enough to be a part of. I highly recommend that people, pay attention to it and attend if they can attend. But let's talk about some of the details. So, Yvonne, maybe can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, first, thank you, Ray, for your participation and being one of our sponsors. On March 17th, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. will be our annual Candlelight Vigil. It's Have a Heart for the Homeless Candlelight Vigil. And we're going to have a lot of health providers will be there. So there'll be free screenings. Everything that day is free. Everything. Wow. So everybody who comes, they're going to get free health screenings. They're going to take away essential items, coats, shirts, dresses, if you have a baby, Pampers, everything that you cannot go into the store and buy.
Right.
We'll be able to supply some of that stuff on that day. We are looking for volunteers because we're going to have story time for our children. So we need people to read to our children. We want to do breakout sessions for empowerment and self-awareness and esteem for boys and girls. So if anyone listening, you do those type of programs, please contact me at 631-464-4313 at extension 125. Some more about the Candlelight Vigil is that we'll have snacks. It's just a really, really good day for everyone to roll up their sleeves and, as Greta always says, boots on ground.
Yes.
And to help people who need the most help.
Yes.
Yeah, the event also includes we're going to have free haircuts and a lot of organizations from the community will be on hand also to share information about the programs and services that they provide for folks. The census will also be there. I feel like we have to keep plugging the census.
Right.
It is a once every 10 years and believe it or not, Nassau and Suffolk are two of the most undercounted communities. In New York, they are within the top 5, and across the country, New York itself is one of the most undercounted areas. Wow. That leads to less funding in our region that's based on population, and that can also lead to less congressional representation in the U.S. House of Representatives. A lot of folks are afraid of the census because there's a lot of misinformation and there's a lot of misunderstanding about how that information is used. And it's exactly the communities that we serve and that we intend to serve that are often the most undercounted. So we'll have people on hand helping people to register and complete the census. We'll have voter registration for Nassau and Suffolk. That even includes the ballot voting machines, so people can test out how to use those voting machines. And lots of information, as Yvonne said. We'll have story time for the kids, snacks, and distribution of essential items. So it's a wonderful, really big event, and essential health screenings too. So we hope everybody will come out and support the event and get some benefit out of it too.
No, we wish you all the best of luck with the event, and it's my understanding that the citizenship question on the census is now removed.
Yes.
So hopefully that really increases numbers. So we wish you well on that day. We sit here and we talk about the impact and all the programs, but you must have some amazing success stories from people that walk through your doors and then now they have moved on because of the help you provided. Can you just share some overall success stories? of how you help people.
Sure. So with respect to, I'll give a few numbers first, and then I'll share a little bit about one particular woman that I think about a lot. So as I said, we have a case management and outreach program that works with the most vulnerable on the street and in shelters. And prior to our starting this, which was about 3 years ago, most of the folks that were in shelters that got permanent housing through different programs had really only been homeless for short periods of time. The average was actually about 90 days. Now, people had been homeless for 5-10 years, but those who were really savvy enough to access permanent housing were those who had only been homeless for short periods of time. And while they were certainly eligible, it kept those people who needed the most help. Still, they kept them homeless. So since we started our program, the average length of time of folks that were now being placed in housing, that were able to access the housing, went from 90 days to 5.4 years. So we were really able to make a difference in terms of helping those who were the most in need.
Wow.
And statistically, people who become homeless, thankfully, they're able to get out of homelessness between 90 and 180 days by themselves anyway.
Okay.
So those folks are likely to be getting out on their own, and now we're helping those who really needed the help. We have, we're lucky in our agency. We have a lot of social work students, and we've been able to hire many of them after they've completed school. This past year, one of our interns had learned how to do SOAR, which is a way to help people apply for SSI or SSD in a more methodological way that helps people get that help faster.
Okay.
She didn't have a client that she was working with. She had just been trained. Another program in our building, the boutique, as I mentioned, we have Family Service League in our building. They had a client who was coming to access the boutique. And as we started talking, it turned out this woman was living in her car. She had been in her car for 4 years. And they had applied for SSI for her unsuccessfully. Our case manager, she's the intern at the time, took her on as the client for SSI, started working with her on that. When we found out she had been homeless for 4 years, our case managers were able to take her on as a client. In the last about 3 months, she was able to move into a beautiful, beautiful house through a program through TSLI, has a roommate, is really, really happy, is just about to apply, send in her SSI application. And now, she went from living in her car for 4 years to having a place of her own.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean, and I'm sure that that's one of so many stories.
So many.
I know, I experienced just taking the tour. And again, I encourage people to reach out to you and take the tour, because that's where you really see just the scope of the work that you guys do. But the individuals who are there, who are being served, and you do it in such a way that, I would imagine, it must be very hard for somebody to come and seek your services. Sometimes, I mean, if it's survival, yes, I get it, they're going to come. But some people, it's very hard for them, to take that hit personally and to approach people, and they might be very shy about it, to witness the way that you folks do it's like a concierge shopping. I didn't say that right, concierge. Anyway, but I think you get the drift. You're treating people with dignity when they walk through the door. So pretty amazing stuff.
You are listening to Tara Talk Business Radio, and our guests today are Greta Guarton and Yvonne Mann of the Long Island Coalition for the Homeless. My name is Donyshia Boston-Hill, along with Ray Schwetz, on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Now, I know you also coordinate and team up with other nonprofits. Can you tell us a little bit about that work? And that's for either Greta or Yvonne.
I can speak to have a heart for the Homeless Candlelight Vigil, because I really just started with the coalition. I have worked many, many years with people who were homeless, so I saw the other side of it.
Okay.
Now I'm really on the side of what the work is done to assist someone who's homeless, not just getting them a place to stay, but all the other things that go along with it, what's involved. So that's very exciting for me right now. Our partnerships are very, very important to what we do. They support us. They help to encourage us, but of course, financially, you know, they're needed, especially for this vigil. Our supporters and our sponsors is what makes this vehicle move. So again, I will say we would love more volunteers, and if you have a business or you're a local organization, please give me a call and let's see how we can work together to make this vigil one that we could talk about for years. Though all of the vigils are great vigils. Last year there was 1,000 people, roughly about 1,000 people, right, Greta, that came through the doors. This year we're anticipating almost that and more.
Right.
Wow.
And it's a slightly different format this year because it is a longer period of time.
Yes, we have two different, it's the same event but two different times, and it will be from 12:30 to 2:30 is the first half, and the second half will be 3 to 5, and then our vigil will be 7 to 8.
Right. Now, what types of things do the volunteers do? Because I know from experiencing it, I've only experienced it once personally, and so I'm sure people want to know, well, what is it that I'll be expected to do? You know, I'd love to help. So tell us a little bit about what types of volunteers. I mean, you talked about the storytelling. What other opportunities are there?
We have face painting going on. We have nail painting for the girls. So if you are a agency that sells cosmetics and you have nail polishes, we need donations of nail polishes. If you just want to polish some nails, if you have your own salon, come on down. We're going to have loads of little girls that would love to have that type of attention. And, you know, of course, their moms too. They don't get a chance to go to a salon.
Right.
So, you know, just to get a mini manicure would be a wonderful thing. We have our volunteers that will guide all of our attendees through the process, because this year is different. So each station that has a health service or a product, you will be guided. It's like your own personal tour guide through our candlelight vigil.
Oh, that's fantastic. So where's the daytime location again?
So the event itself it's all taking place at Farmingdale State College. Sorry.
Okay.
That's okay.
It's taking place at Farmingdale College in Roosevelt Hall. It's where their old gym was. From noon to 5, the information and health fair part will take place in Roosevelt Hall in the multipurpose room, which is the old gym. And then from 7 to 8 is the candle lighting ceremony, and it's directly outside that building on the Great Lawn.
It sounds like a fantastic event. My question to you ladies would be, you know, I'm sure that there's a lot of misnomers about, you know, oh my goodness, I'm homeless. Where do I go? What's your intake process, and how do you really just make people feel comfortable about coming in and requesting services?
So we have a lot of different programs. With respect to that case management and outreach that I mentioned, we have information about who's been homeless longest in our region. We identify them with DSS and through our outreach. So we kind of identify them and target them for the permanent housing services. Excuse me. But for everything else, folks can call us. They can walk in. For the boutique, people can be referred from basically any other organization or church can refer them. There's no like income check or anything. If someone says, you know what, this person could use some help, we want to be able to help them. As Ray had said, the folks that come in, the volunteers don't know what their background is. They don't know the history or why that person is there and needs help, and they don't care. It doesn't matter. Everyone is treated with dignity. We treat them like customers, except that they don't pay at the end, and when you go to a store, you want to be treated kindly by the people who are working at the store, and our volunteers are treating our customers the same way. They really want to help. They are there because they want to be. It's kind of wonderful. We've had people that have come in as customers, and they've been helped, and they say, you know what, I want to be able to help others too. And then they come back and they volunteer with us.
Wow.
It's wonderful. It's really wonderful. We have a hotline. Folks will call in with questions. And we have interns and staff who are trained on different resources that they can share with those folks. We are not supposed to have walk-in services, but people walk in, and we help them too. We do whatever we can to help folks in need.
And what's that hotline number?
It is 631-464-4314, extension 118.
Tell us that again.
631-464-4314, extension 118.
Fantastic.
Now, as we're getting to a close, what is the one thought you'd like to leave our listeners with? And that could be from both of you, either of you.
I would like to say that until you experience homelessness, you can't even begin to judge or even make a comment. And a lot of us live with a lot of wealth, and we don't think that it is. But if you can turn your key, walk into a home, you can turn a key, sit in a car, if you can pay your light bill, your water bill, and all those other things, that's wealth. Yeah. And we all need to understand that if anything is going to get better, we have to help it do that. Yeah. So come on out on March 17th between 12 and 8 p.m. Have a Heart for the Homeless Candlelight Vigil, Farmingdale College. If you need any more information, please call me, Yvonne Mann, at 631-464-4314 at extension 125. I'm waiting for your call.
All right, perfect. And thank you again, Greta, Yvonne, for being on the show today. We're very excited about the Candlelight Vigil. We'll be there. And thank you again for sharing this information with our listeners.
Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Oh, no, absolutely. And as Yvonne said, the things you take for granted are the things others are paying for.
We want to thank you for being with us. My name is Ray Schwetz, along with Donyshia Boston-Hill, your co-host and producers. This is an NCC Foundation Business Leaders Council production. Visit ncc.edu/WHPC for more information. Available on iHeartRadio, as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This has been Tower Talk Business Radio, powered by the Nassau Community College Foundation on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We'll talk with you next week.